Hello and welcome back to Dear Doctor, the show in which a fully qualified doctor of personality, yes, that's a real thing, gives you the scoop on all things personality type. My name is Dr. Dear Kristen, first name Dear, last name Kristen, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to trigger MBTI enthusiasts, known affectionately here in the lab as MBTI warriors. MBTI warriors are a breed of human that spend a lot of time either online or at social events preaching about the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Their typical behaviour involves, but is not limited to, trying to tell you what your personality type is within 5 minutes of knowing you, saying the phrase classic blank every time you talk, and recommending videos of barely relevant MBTI YouTube channels. This video is for those of you who are quite frankly fed up with said humans and wish to give them a taste of their own medicine. So let's get started. Tip number 1. The first thing you're going to do is an obvious one. Tell them they're wrong about their personality type. MBTI warriors take great pride in their type and have largely used their type diagnosis as a means of not only identifying themselves, but of justifying their behaviours, good or bad. They love to pat themselves on the back for the fact that they are so self-aware as to know their own type and have very much started to form little friendship pockets online with their type fellows. To outright question their type, therefore, feels like you are overtly attacking their identity, even if they've just done the very same thing by trying to tell you what your type is. To add some salt to the wound, try spurting some generic statements about how you reached your conclusion, such as, "You're too talkative to be an introvert. I've read the type descriptions on 16personalities.com, so I know what I'm talking about." Or, my personal favourite, "Nah, trust me, I'm an intuitive, so I'm really good at reading people." Step number 2. Tell them you're an ambivert. There are few phrases that trigger the MBTI warrior more than the dreaded A word. It's like kryptonite to them. The MBTI tool leaves little room for an ambivert diagnosis, not even if you've scored a 50% on the dreaded introvert-extrovert scale that they loathe so much. So say it loud, say it proud, and with full authority. For extra spice, insist that the reason you know you're an ambivert is because you like being both with people and by yourself. And when they snap and try to explain to you the deeper Jungian theory behind the introvert-extrovert terminology, just keep it real surface level and agree to disagree. Step number 3. Call them a sensor. Whether they are an intuitive or are in fact a sensor, even if they claim to proudly be one, this assumption is triggering to MBTI warriors. We at the lab suspect that the reason for this is because of the inexplicable law that has built up over the centuries, which teaches that intuitives are the superior types. Is this because some expert claimed that they are the rarer of the two groups? Or because intuitives are harboring some kind of deep resentment towards sensors because the modern world seems to have been designed for sensors, and they feel their intuitive gifts are highly underappreciated? To answer this question would be to make a sweeping generalization, which we're not above at this lab, but we'll let you answer this one for yourselves. When the MBTI warrior inevitably asks how you got to this conclusion, explain that it's just a vibe that you got from them, then change the subject and watch their blood boil. Step number 4. Tell them that your personality type keeps changing. Follow this up with the explanation that you believe it's because you're so unique that you can't be put into a box. Say this with complete sincerity, and when they inevitably tell you that your personality type can't change, say that yours can, and that's your truth. Step number 5. Tell them that there is no psychological basis for MBTI. This is truly hitting them where it hurts. MBTI warriors feverishly protect the fact that MBTI has roots back to Carl Jung in the 1920s. This is of course true, but we're not going to focus on that today. Don't even bother to do the research yourself, just insist that MBTI is only useful for its 8 letters and that if you go any deeper, you're just clutching at straws. This is guaranteed to burst a blood vessel in your opponent and almost certain to get them ranting about the 8 cognitive functions. Say that you don't care and then change the subject. Step number 6, start talking about astrology. This is even more effective if you do it immediately after step 4, in which you stipulated that there is no psychological proof for MBTI. Better yet, start using the exact phrasing that you just criticized them for 5 minutes ago. You're such a Taurus. Classic Virgo. When's your birthday? I knew it. I was getting Sagittarius vibes. And when they try to point out the hypocrisy, retort with, oh, we're just having a bit of fun, like you with your NTBI thing. If they start questioning you about the science behind astrology, say that it's something to do with the moon causing waves in the ocean, and that logically that means that the moon can also cause waves in your body's water content. And this brings us to our final tip, number 7. Claim to be an INFJ. It is well documented over many online platforms that INFJs are the rarest type. Yet it is also speculated that INFJ is one of the most common test results on the 16personalities.com online test, a test which is agreed to be largely inaccurate when determining true personality type. For this reason, both INFJ type diagnoses and online tests are huge triggers for MBTI warriors. Weaving them both into conversation is sure to get a rise out of them. In particular, if you do happen to be talking to an actual INFJ, their suspicion walls will immediately go up, and they may start to ask you pointed but subtle questions to confirm your INFJ typing. In this case, we recommend that you give extremely vague answers, start listing random personality traits of yours and telling random anecdotes, while adding, lol, I'm such an INFJ, to all of them. The INFJ's desire for harmony will prevent them from challenging you, but you'll certainly get a passive-aggressive laugh or two. And rest assured, they'll be burning up inside. So there you have it, loyal watchers, a beginner's guide to triggering the MBTI warrior. Let us know in the comments, have you tried any of these tactics? Have they worked for you? What other tactics have you found to be effective? Or perhaps you've been on the receiving end of some of these tactics and would like to vent your emotional frustration. Please do so in the comments, as this data greatly aids in improving our research. Until next time, I've been Dear Doctor.